With football around the corner, time to start building up that bankroll. And we want to help by slashing the cost of all daily picks packages priced at $25 or more, including 5% best bets through the end of July. This amazing promotion runs from Tuesday, July 12th to midnight on Sunday, July 31st, and drops the pricing down to $25 daily packages for $12.50, 29 daily combo packages for $14.50, and $35 5% best bets for $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of our one-day all-access pass. This package locks in a handicapper of your choice for one whole day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that usually sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all-access for only $19.50. We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not, the premier sports betting information provider in North America. Our special discount pricing goes live on Tuesday, runs through the end of the month, does not require a coupon, and is available just by going to your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo Handicappers homepage right now.
Welcome in to First Pitch for Wednesday, July 27th. I am Drew Martin, joined by Ariel Epstein and Adam Trigger of WagerTalk.com. Find Ariel at Yahoo Sports and MLB Network. Guys, we got 3 games on the slate for today's show. We're going to get into all of them. Best bets at the end. We got the Rays and the Orioles, the Guardians and the Red Sox, and the Yankees and the Mets. Ariel, coming to you first here. In the AL East, we get the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. Rasmussen versus Wells. Near a pick'em price here, seeing minus 110. Rays, let's call it a short favorite here. 8 being the total in Camden Yards. Are you liking anything with the Rays and the O's tonight, Ariel?
This one's really tough for me, Drew, because I really want to back the O's on the run line every time they're a home underdog. However, even though this line that we have on the screen says minus 110, I was seeing Baltimore go from minus 105 to plus 100 earlier this morning, and that was the overnight line movement. The line's moving against Baltimore from what I saw overnight. Tampa Bay has their pitcher Drew Rasmussen on the mound. I'm looking more towards the Rays money line. The Rays money line intrigued me because Rasmussen, it's his 27th birthday today, by the way. He's also pitched really well since he's come off the IL in his 4 games since being activated, 1-0 with a 2.29 ERA. The pitcher today for the Orioles is Tyler Wells. He's really been struggling in his last 3 starts. He's winless. He's got a 6.75 ERA. He's 0-2 with a 7.50 ERA in 3 starts against the Rays this year. I am a little concerned about the bullpen depth coming out of Baltimore. They've used 8 pitchers out of the bullpen in this series. The Rays have only used 4. Even though the Orioles have the better bullpen, they have the 3rd best bullpen in baseball, the Rays still rank 8th in team ERA out of the pen. I like the Rays on the money line. I also know that Mid-Major Matt has been absolutely crushing first 5 team totals. He said his favorite of the day is the Orioles over 1.5. I know that kind of goes against Rays money line in a sense. However, look at what happened to the Yankees yesterday. They went over a team total of 1.5 and still lost the game to the Mets. You could still hit the over with the Orioles and hit the Rays money line. Just 2 plays to keep in mind for today's game.
Okay, good stuff to start it off. Trig, coming back to you. What we get the Rays pretty banged up, but hey, Ariel's liking the possibly on the money line here with the Rays as the road team. What are you thinking in Camden Yards tonight?
Well, yeah, banged up is an understatement there, Drew. And now even more banged up as they lose their catcher. Francisco Mejia he just hit the IL. Zunino's been on the IL for a while, which means it might be Christian Bethancourt catching for the first time since 2017. I think they're going to call up a kid as well. So we'll start there, right? The Rays. This isn't the Rays team we thought we'd be seeing, a month ago. The list of players they're without right now is just getting longer and longer by the day. And it's one of the big reasons that I have a hard time sort of jumping in with the Rays, because I do agree with Ariel. The spot definitely suggests a good time to maybe jump in with the Rays. But man, this team's just so banged up. I went against them last night. One of the big reasons I liked my bet on Orioles plus 1.5 last night was I thought that they had a big edge in the game late, and sure enough, the Orioles won it late. And the Orioles bullpen, without a doubt, is the better of these two units right now. Over their last 18 games, where they're 14-4, the bullpen has a 2.18 ERA, and that Rays bullpen, which is typically good, has, they have injuries there as well. The Rays have lost 6 of 8 at Camden Yards this season, but Rasmussen is the clear better starting pitcher here. Tyler Wells kind of pitched out of his mind for a while. Last 3 starts, 6.75 ERA. I think, he's coming back down to earth, and I don't think that really should be unexpected. I think regression should have been obvious with Wells there. So he's not a guy I'm going to back either. So this is probably the toughest one of the ones we're going to talk about for me, because I've been kind of on the Orioles all season, trying to back them in good spots. But
it's the best trend. It's the best trend in baseball. Just Orioles plus 1.5 as a home underdog. Yeah. It has been cashing at about 70% on the season. I mean, it's 28-9. Come on, this is unreal. I think that was the update because they hit yesterday, and I have it on my board. They are 20 now. It's 29-9 after last night's game with Baltimore on the run line as a home dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'll kind of. It's a great stat, and that's kind of what where I'll leave it. I would want Orioles plus 1.5 here because it's a little expensive. It'll get me off of it, but that's like the only way I would really want to bet this game. I found this extremely interesting, Drew. The Rays have recorded 47 outs running the bases this year. It is by far the most in the major leagues. That's just not something you think of when you think of Rays like making mistakes. They're usually a team that's like maximizing potential and finding ways to win games, not giving up outs on the bases. So I don't know, Drew. There's just something about this Rays team that's a little off. They're not going to get my money right now. So, yeah, I would say it's going to be I would slightly lean to the Orioles just because I don't want to bet the Rays, but ultimately a pass.
I like it. Good stuff from Trig and Ariel. We got the chat box. Abel saying agree, Ariel. David saying she's right on that. Ariel, before we get to the next game, what about the O's? I mean, 49 wins this year. They had 52 wins all of last year. You're the AL. You know as much about the AL East as anybody. What kind of realistic shot do you give them to make the postseason?
I don't give them a realistic shot because they still are up there with one of the harder schedules for the second half of the year. They have to face the AL East, which is just it's a terrible division to have to be in. Having to get through an experienced team like the Rays, despite how banged up they are, having to get through the Toronto Blue Jays, having to get through the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, the best team in baseball, it just seems unrealistic. We're going to get a better idea for the Orioles of what they do, whether they buy or sell at the trade deadline, of how legit they feel they are as an organization to get through the second half of the year. The reason that the Orioles are so much better this season than they were last year, solely it's the pitching. The bullpen has been great. They have the third best bullpen in baseball. The Orioles at home have a top 10 team ERA. On the road is where they struggle. It's just like the Mariners last year, Drew, which I know we all remember after sitting in Boston and Swampscott last year, and we were watching the Seattle Mariners on the run line plus 1.5 every home game. It's the Orioles of this year, plus 1.5 every home game, because it's the bullpen that's keeping them in games and allowing them to stay close. Their record when they're at home, straight up, not as good, Baltimore. That run line plus 1.5 is what's better.
Yeah, I like it. And Trig, just real quick, man, I mean, looking at the standings, 49 and 48. And guess what? They're not in last place in the AL East. Can't remember the last time saw that this late in the season for the Orioles. Real quickly, do you give them any shot to make the postseason?
It's a tough ask because there's a lot of good teams in the American League. But I'll tell you right now, Drew, I'll give you a little transition here. They've got more of a shot than the Red Sox because that is the worst team in the American League East, without a doubt. So I don't know. Outside shot. They'll probably hang around. So
like you would take, if you got a match bet, you would take Orioles to finish above Red Sox in the division.
I'll take that. Someone give me that.
It's probably in plus money would be my guess. If you had to set the odds, I would put it in plus money.
I think I would be getting plus money. We're going to talk.
I do have a random question to pose to both of you, because this question was actually on MLB Network last night on our show Pregame Spread. They asked me, do I believe that 2 or 3 teams will make the playoffs out of the AL East? Because remember now we have 3 wild card teams coming out of the American League. 2 or 3 teams, Drew, you start. How many are making it out of the AL East in the playoffs?
I'd probably go with 2. I think Tampa Bay, you know what? Give me 3. I think Baltimore's going to pull this off. I think Baltimore finishes ahead of the M's. I'll take the O's over the M's. And to answer your question, I'm taking 3.
So you're going to say Yankees, Orioles, Rays make the playoffs?
No. I think the Rays are falling off. I think the Red Sox are falling off. I'll take Yankees, Toronto, Baltimore in that order. They all make the playoffs.
Ooh, okay. Sure.
Ariel, I'll say 3 too, because you've got the Orioles as kind of a wild card. I mean, I still think the Rays, if they get healthy, are going to be if they can get healthy, they'll be fine. But they'll at least be in the mix. And then the Blue Jays, I mean, they have the advantage of things like, star players not being able to play in Toronto. That seems to be helping them out of late. So it's like they should have an easier path the rest of the way too. So we'll see. Yankees are obviously in. So I think you'll see 3 from the AL East, most likely.
I like it. And hey, let us know below if you're watching on replay, what you think the finish will be, who you would take, the Red Sox or the Orioles, to finish above each other in the who finishes above who in the AL East. Let us know in the chat box as well. Guys, next one up here, talking about the Sox. They're taking on the Guardians. That's the Cleveland Guardians. Quantrill versus Nathan Eovaldi here, Trig. What are you thinking? Red Sox minus what, 130 right now? What are you liking here in Fenway tonight?
Drew, this Red Sox team right now is a hot mess. Like they have so many injuries, and the fact that Chaim Bloom came out and said that he still thinks his team is going to the playoffs is it's one of the most laughable things I've heard in a while. I mean, maybe if they all get healthy, but they also need to find pitching from somewhere. And it's certainly not with their starter tonight. I was at his last start, Drew, and he gave up 9 runs in 2.2 innings. We were at the bar in the 4th inning. That's how bad that was, because it was 14-0 Blue Jays by like the 4th inning. That was on Friday night in Boston. He's giving up the most home runs per 9 innings of any starter in the league. And his fastball velocity is down, which is a massive concern. And right now, they're going to, obviously, the Red Sox will get some of these players back. But right now, I mean, you look at this lineup, and it looks more like the Worcester Woo Sox lineup, Drew, not the Boston Red Sox or what you would expect to see, the Red Sox put on the field. So, here, I'm not a huge Quantrill guy. He's a guy that he doesn't strike out a ton of batters. I think he might be due for a little regression. But I'm not going to back Eovaldi, and the Guardians are starting to hit. This team's weirdly streaky, Drew. They either all hit at the same time or they don't hit at all. And right now, their last few games, they're hitting over 300 as a team. With Steve Kwan hitting, he's got a 9-game hit streak. He's one of my favorite players in the league, Drew. I love his approach to hitting. It's rare you see a guy that's just like really up there trying to put the ball in play, and he's one of those guys. So, slight lean toward the Guardians here. I don't love how the pitching sets up for Cleveland, but the Red Sox aren't getting my money right now. Made that mistake over the weekend trying to take them plus 1.5, and they lost yet again. So Guardians are nothing for me here, Drew.
Yeah, Ariel, no way I can bet the Red Sox. 2-8 last 10. Their bullpen is an absolute dumpster fire right now. What are you thinking in Fenway tonight?
You couldn't pay me enough money to put my money on the Red Sox starter tonight, Nathan Eovaldi, at home. He's basically allowing almost 4 more earned runs at home this season than on the road. His ERA in 6 home starts, 1-3 with a 6.98. That's 4.5 runs higher than what he's like on the road. I also, like Trig mentioned, saw the fastball velocities down by about 2 miles an hour from last year, which is just bad since his last 2 starts off the IL. I'm going with the under on the strikeout prop for Eovaldi of 4.5 strikeouts. You mentioned how the Guardians are starting to hit more. So I could also see that Eovaldi doesn't stay in this game long enough to be able to hit the over of 4.5. The thing is also that the Guardians have the lowest K rate in the league against right-handed pitchers. They're averaging just about 3.5 strikeouts per start when up against righties, or the righty starters are averaging 3.5 strikeouts to start up against this Guardians lineup. The starters, the righty starters, 20 and 46 over under their K prop against the Guardians. And Eovaldi has only gone over this number in half the games that he's faced teams with bottom 15 K rates. He's getting the one that strikes out the least of all of them. I got burned by the Guardians because they did end up striking out a bunch against Nick Pivetta of the Red Sox. However, I'm not going to let it scare me off of Nathan Eovaldi, who is one of the worst home pitchers in baseball because of just the home road splits and how different it is. Give me the under 4.5 strikeouts. Nathan Eovaldi, great value, plus 124 is where I grabbed it at.
K prop from the prop queen herself. Guys, we got one game left and then best bets at the end. Let's head to the Subway Series. Ariel, this is a interesting matchup. Really interested in your opinion here. The Yankees and the Mets, German versus Scherzer. Yankees just 17 and 16 their last 33 games, but I'll tell you this, I don't remember seeing the Yankees plus 165 underdogs. We haven't seen it very much this year at all. Is it enough of a plus price to get you on the Yanks tonight, Ariel?
No, I'm not taking a side, Drew. What I'm going to do is ride what's been working for the Yanks since the first half ended, or the second half started. It's the Yankees team total over 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings. It's hit in 5 straight games, 5 of 6 to start the second half of the season. The Yankees are also up against the Mets starter, Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer this season has had, I forget the exact number of home games, but in all but 2 home games this year, he has allowed for over 1.5 runs to be scored in the first 5 innings. He's 6-4 Scherzer with a 3.38 ERA and 11 starts against the Yankees in his career. Although he's had decent success at 3.38, isn't a 2.5. It's not close to a 2 ERA. He's got a 3.38. It's fine, but because Scherzer at home, he may be dominant if it comes to wins and losses, but yesterday, the Yankees lost the game, and I don't care because I hit my bet in the first inning when they scored 2 runs. I'm just going to keep riding this out with the Yankees that they're going to score over 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings. Yesterday, this Yankees-Mets game looked like a complete and utter disaster. Errors all over the field, sloppy baseball. I just don't trust either of these teams. That's why I'd rather go take an over on the total.
Okay. Hey, the trend is your friend. Trig, coming to you next. You know, one thing I took away from researching this game, Scherzer, since the IL stint, 25 innings, just under, 1.8 ERA. So he's throwing the ball better of late. I don't know if it's worth a minus 175 price tag. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, on this one, we kind of like all kicked this one around this morning, and the spread's kind of tricky here because you've got, you're clearly going to have to pay a premium to back Max Scherzer. You almost always do. There's pretty much no way around that. But do you want to back the Yankees here? They've kind of 17 and 16 last 33 games. But they still get priced as if they're the team when you look at them in the standings. The best team in baseball. They still get priced that way. So I kind of threw out there. Well, you can't believe you're getting plus 1.5. At only minus 140 on them. But again, I kind of agree with just the sort of the way that it's going where, okay, maybe the Yankees aren't quite the squad that ran it up for the first 3 months of the season. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of Yankees regression here. The way I look at this one, I kind of lean toward the under in the full game. Now, I wouldn't be all that surprised if Ariel gets her runs early. It seems like to get Scherzer, you're going to have to get him early because he definitely, he settles in. And once he finds his groove, he's a hard guy to hit. Since he came off the IL, 1.78 ERA in 4 starts. And you look at up and down this Yankees lineup, they do not collectively have good numbers against Max Scherzer, which would be a concern for me here. Domingo Germán, we haven't seen him in a year. He comes back last week, makes his first start in about a calendar year against the Astros. And I actually was impressed by him. He was pretty good for 5 innings in that game against the Astros. So I think you might have some hidden value here in terms of Germán's ability to, limit the Mets. I wouldn't be all that surprised if he turned in a pretty good start in his, just his second
one more
start
thing to add to your underplay, because I do like the approach there. I know I said first 5 team total over for Yankees. Let's tell you how many times those kinds of bets hit and the under still hits in games. However, what do the Mets do best? They struggle offensively when their ace is on the mound. It happened last year with the Mets and DeGrom. It's happening this year with the Mets and Scherzer. The offense does not show up to games where their ace is pitching. And that's the other thing to provide for the underplay here, Trig.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a great point, Ariel. And we'll just tie it back to yesterday's game. Like, I think in the minds of a lot of bettors is, okay, like the first inning, all those runs, if you had a first five under, it was destroyed in the first inning. But there was really no offense the rest of the game. I mean, that was a 6-3.
My dad jumped in on a live 9.5 yesterday and lost by the hook. He's a lunatic.
Yeah.
I told him he was crazy.
Yeah.
He got all excited because these two teams look terrible early on, jumps on a live 9.5 and loses.
That you can't. The laying the premium number in play is never gonna end well. But listen, it's a juiced 7.5 for the game. Max Scherzer, one of the best pitchers in baseball. And I think you have a little bit of hidden value with Herman. Obviously, a year ago, we were, talking about him being one of the Yankees' better starters. So, both bullpens are solid. Even without Diaz tonight, I still think the Mets are fine with Lugo at the back end of this game. I'll call it a 4-3 game. That's it feels like a tighter game, like a tight and better played game than yesterday. So, 3-2, 4-3. All of that gets under 7.5, so I lean toward the under in this one.
Like it. 3 games in the books. We got best bets at the end. Please smash the like button if you're liking the content. It does help us out, and feel free to reply below like always. Ask any questions, we'll answer them this week on the show. Let us know what you're betting as well. All is welcome. So we got best bets coming up now, guys. I'm going back to the first game, 7:05 Eastern. Heading to Baltimore, getting back on the Golden Goose with the Orioles. Can get them, plus 100, might be minus 102, depending where you're shopping. And looking to fade the Rays, especially on the road. They've really struggled. They're number 1 in Major League Baseball in terms of players that have made a stint on the IL, 16 players. And we get the Orioles, the most profitable team in baseball, and surprisingly, the better bullpen, guys. So, 49 wins. Hopefully they make it 50 wins in this game. They're 14-4 their last 18. So I think we're actually getting the better team here with the Orioles at home. They've been a good bet. So I'll take the Orioles plus 100. Throw it over to Adam Trigger. Follow him on Twitter at TopFlightSI. Check him out, WagerTalk.com. He's got a 5% play up, guys. That's the highest rated play possible. And he's been good in baseball, seeing the base as well. So Trig, throw it over to you. Final thoughts for the show. And what do you got for best bets?
Yeah, so 5% play tonight. I've hit three of them in a row. I'm 6-1 in my last 7 5%, and I've also hit 3 Major League Baseball plays in a row as well. So MLB's going great, and I just couldn't help myself, Drew. I found another game I liked enough that I had to fire and make a client play, and it goes in an hour, so I'm just going to give it out for free on the air, and that's the Texas Rangers. I'm going to lay the minus 115. I'm gonna fade the Mariners here and try to catch the Rangers salvaging one in this series. The short favorite to avoid the sweep this year has been a really good angle. It's cashed quite a bit. Definitely has been a money-making angle so far this season. And, of course, that is what the Rangers are today, as they got walked off in the 9th last night, and now they will be trying to avoid a sweep in Seattle. It's John Gray, who I like and has been really good. Last 10 starts since June 1st, Drew. He's 6-2 with a 2.34 ERA, and the Rangers are 7-1 the last 8 times Gray has stepped on the hill. Marco Gonzalez, for me, he's just a hard fade. I mean, this guy, he's tied for the American League lead in losses right now. But when you do a quick glance at his numbers, somehow his ERA and WHIP aren't horrible, and I think that's deceiving because this guy I think he still has the lowest K rate of starters in the league. And the Rangers are now seeing him for the 4th time this year. And he has a 5.09 ERA against him in those first 3 meetings. So I fully expect the Rangers to hit the ball in this game. The Rangers bullpen, we've talked about this on this show a couple times. They're a sneaky good unit. They've hovered right around the top 10 in many of the key bullpen metrics so far this year. I think they come in today 12th in ERA. They're kind of right on that fringe of being like a really good bullpen. Whereas the Mariners, it's baked into the line that they have the better bullpen, but Seawold pitched back-to-back days, and he blew that save last night. So I can almost guarantee they're not going to use him a 3rd day in a row. So, here I think that Gray is far and away the better starter. I think the bullpens are at least equal and maybe give the edge to the Rangers with Seawold likely out. And I like this Rangers team still, Drew. They've taken a ton of sharp money all season long, and I love those short favorites to avoid a sweep. So all of that, I can't stay off it. I made the Rangers a 4% play. Rangers minus 115, 4% client play. And I've got my 5% up for tonight.
All right, good stuff, Trig. Yeah, looking at John Gray here, guys. The former first-round pick out of Oklahoma, he kind of didn't live up to expectations, but sure enough, like Trig stated, his last 13 innings, 0 earned runs, just a 1.1 whip this season. So maybe this is his breakout year. And hopefully for Trig's sake, it starts tonight. We got Ariel Epstein. Follow her on Twitter at Ariel Epstein. Check her out, MLB Network, Yahoo Sports. Ariel, saw on Twitter you were giving out some day action. Do you have any other day action here for the watchers, and anything for best bets and final thoughts?
No more day action, just the one. I gave out the Minnesota Twins plus of 1.5 for a multitude of reasons that makes no sense to waste your time listening to now because the game has begun. I'm going to the game that's happening just before 7 p.m. Eastern time. I think, Drew, you can confirm the Marlins game's around 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Or, Trig, this is also a game that you have a close eye on with the Reds.
Yeah,
is it 6:40? Weirdly, Miami games are starting at 6:40 a lot recently. Anyway, my favorite strikeout prop tonight is the Miami Marlins left-hander Braxton Garrett over 4.5 strikeouts. The Cincinnati Reds have the 11th highest K rate against against left-handed pitchers. Lefty starters are averaging just over 5 strikeouts a game when up against the Cincinnati Reds. Braxton Garrett has faced 3 different teams this year that have a top 15 K rate against left-handed pitchers. Garrett has had at least 5 strikeouts in all 3 of those starts. The other games that he pitched this year were against teams with bottom 10 K rates, against southpaws. Teams like the Mets, the Astros, the Nationals, the Cardinals. Those teams are not only bottom 10, they are bottom 5 in the league against left-handed pitchers when it comes to K rate. The teams that he faced that have high K rates, the Pittsburgh Pirates back-to-back had 7 and 11 strikeouts. His first start of the year faced the Giants, had 5 strikeouts in 3 1/3 innings. His innings have gone up to close to 5 to 6. He's up against a team with a top 15 K rate against lefties. Give me the over 4.5 strikeouts at minus 120 for Braxton Garrett. Drew, that's my best bet.
All right, let's get the strikeouts there in the Marlins and Reds games. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Great show overall. We'll recap the best bets here. We got the Orioles plus 100. We got the Rangers minus 115 for Trig. And Ariel, you just heard it there. Garrett over 4.5 strikeouts at the minus 120 number. For Ariel Epstein, Adam Trigger, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in. Please smash that like button. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Best of luck until then.
With football around the corner, time to start building up that bankroll. And we want to help by slashing the cost of all daily picks packages priced at $25 or more, including 5% best bets through the end of July. This amazing promotion runs from Tuesday, July 12th to midnight on Sunday, July 31st, and drops the pricing down to $25 daily packages for $12.50, $29 daily combo packages for $14.50, and $35 5% best bets for $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of our one-day all-access pass. This package locks in the handicapper of your choice for one whole day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that usually sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all-access for only $19.50. We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not, the premier sports betting information provider in North America. Our special discount pricing goes live on Tuesday, runs through the end of the month, does not require a coupon, and is available just by going to your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo Handicappers homepage right now.